Welcome to another episode of Croc Talk. I am your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And on today's episode, we are talking about the young OG cornerback out of USC, Olaijah Griffin. All right, son of Warren G. Regulators. I always want to do that. But anyways, we're going to get into the pros, we're going to get to the cons, we're going to get to areas where I feel like he can improve, pro player comp, all that. So to see this full video and much more, make sure you guys subscribe, patreon.com/croctalk. So I feel like every time I start off one of these videos, I'm like, well, the first thing I want to look at is this, and the first thing I want to look at is that. But I think sometimes it just depends on what jumps out to me first about the prospect, all right? So obviously we want to get into, the fluidity and all this type of stuff. But the first thing that really jumped out to me, this is a scrappy, turned up little dude, all right? And I say little dude, I don't know how big he is. Remember, I don't look at height, weight, speed. I let the film kind of take the notes for me. All right, so he doesn't look like big on film, doesn't look tiny or anything like that. If I had to guess, I'd say 5'11", 188. That's what he looks like. All right, but super scrappy. That was the first thing that really jumped out to me. I mean, I was watching him one time, pancake the receiver, get on your back, just like that. All right, pancaked him. Really like seeing that. Really like seeing his aggressiveness throughout the film. And he was scrappy with players, and you see him kind of like, do a little extra after plays. I tried to like extend plays just so you can see all that, but he wasn't just like an all bark and no bite type guy. For someone who doesn't on film look very big, I thought he was extremely aggressive. And I mean, when it comes to like tackling, it didn't matter about the angle. Me, I played corner. I was a big corner. I think a lot of times, like I knew like, okay, let me position myself this way so I can go in and tackle and it's not gonna hurt. This dude didn't care. He didn't care about his body. He was flying around, throwing his body around, being extra aggressive with anybody and everybody, whether it was running backs, quarterbacks, who I think we look at and view these quarterbacks, you got ran over by a quarterback, whatever. Quarterbacks are hella big. All right, like these dudes be like 6'3", 230 pounds. Like they're big dudes. And now more than ever, they're athletic as well. But anyways, throwing his body around at them, receivers on screens, diving in there, taking dudes' legs out. I mean, it was just over and over where I'm like, wow, like this is a big time strength of his ability to be aggressive no matter what, really square guys up and just be physical with them in every aspect of his game as a tackler. I thought that was really kind of tremendous to see. And again, a lot of what I talk about is stuff off my like personal experiences, and I wasn't like this type of tackler. Like I could tackle, like I could hit, but I wasn't like this aggressive with it. And that was one thing that really kind of stood out to me with his game, where I was like, damn, that's a big time plus. Now, I think there was an area where he could improve, right? Like the scrappiness, the aggressiveness, like all that, excellent. I think sometimes he kind of let that take him out of the game for that play. So there are a lot of times where, just getting off of blocks, he's so consumed with, fighting with the guy in front of him because he turned up, because he doesn't want this guy to win. He'll get into these like one-on-one battles with just kind of trying to, fight with the guy right here that's in front of him that you forgot to get off the block, defeat the block, and now they just ran for a touchdown. Or now, a guy's getting outside of you. So aggressiveness from a tackle standpoint was tremendous. And there were a couple times where I did see him just defeat the block right now, but more times than not, he was getting blocked. I would like to see him defeated so he can get in on more tackles, but I'd say if there was one thing where I feel like right away I'd see he can improve from this standpoint, it would definitely be that. Get off them damn blocks. Now from a coverage standpoint, I try to identify like what type of movement skills this person has. Like, is he a fluid mover? Is he somebody that's kind of fighting some of his movement skills? His feet. Do his feet work like on the same page as his brain? I think sometimes like guys feel like they're moving quick or fast, but their brain is actually moving faster than what their feet are able to do. I think he does a really good job of being able to stay square. Sometimes if he's wrong with his feet, his mind and body work together to where he's able to correct himself and just react. And it's something he doesn't have to think about or probably doesn't even have to really work on. He just has those type of natural movement skills. And I think that actually translated to his off coverage being pretty good. He was a guy who I felt like, when he wanted to get out of his break and close extremely fast, he was able to do that. I thought he did a tremendous job of being able to turn and run with guys from off coverage. I thought he did a really good job of staying square in certain instances and coming back down and breaking up passes. Thought overall, from an off coverage standpoint, that wasn't something where, I would be worried about hey, can he play off coverage or can he play press or what type of scheme? Do I have to hide him in a certain type of scheme? Didn't see those type of issues. Thought he moved extremely well throughout the time, like playing off coverage. Now, sometimes his eyes, for the most part, especially like in zone, I felt like his zone eyes were pretty good. I thought he read like 2-to-1 extremely well. So that's something that you want to see, where it was just like a natural, like, okay, 1 sit, 2, boom, squeeze, make plays on the ball in the air. Thought he did a really good job of that. So from off coverage standpoint, there weren't anything that I was too worried about, outside of just a play here and there where I'd see him like be like maybe like overly aggressive at some point, maybe trying to get too much hands on, ends up stopping his feet, and the guy just kind of beats him. But for the most part, from just a pure off coverage ability, I thought he was fine there and had the ability to do that at the next level. Thought from press coverage he was good as well. A lot of times he did a really good job of using feet, feet before hands. That's more ideal from my standpoint. I think a lot of people want these like big corners and they think like, oh, you're just gonna get hands on every time you line up to press somebody. And I'm like you want to really move your feet, saying before you try to go and get hands on somebody. And I thought more times than not, most of the time he did a really good job at doing that, just being able to move his feet, get in position to get hands on, and then be able to run with receivers down the field. Thought he excelled at that pretty well. Now, at some point against Arizona State, he did kind of run into a big dog with Brandon Ayuk, and it was a battle for the most part. But there was just times where I could see like maybe he was just a little sped up with his the mental part of things, with his press technique, to where maybe he was worried about getting beat over the top, which was weird because there was some times where he would play off and be able to get hands on, squeeze in and run, and sometimes he did really good at the line of scrimmage, but sometimes he just really kind of got like destroyed at the line of scrimmage. I guess that's the word to say, where he's just speed turning out. Now, a lot of times when you see somebody speed turn, it's at the line of scrimmage, maybe they get a little bit too far upfield shoulder, then the guy comes back underneath, and that causes a speed turn. I thought he was speed turning at a time where Ayuk wasn't even really attacking him, like attacking his leverage from that point. It was just like a quick little move off the line, then go slant, and Olaijah Griffin was still like speed turning. Then he got him in the end zone where I felt like he just didn't hold his ground there. He kind of backpedaled a little bit too much into the end zone, create the space for the receiver, which we don't want to do, and then the receiver was just able to cross his face. All right, so, I mean, I always look at what's fixable, what's not fixable, are these things that were consistent. I thought overall throughout his film, I didn't see too many issues with his ability to play press coverage or, run with guys from that standpoint. I thought ultimately it was pretty good. It was just a couple of times against Brandon Ayuk where he got turned around. So maybe Ayuk is just good. I mean, he was a first-round pick, and he was one of the more productive receivers in the NFL as a rookie. But overall, I thought Olaijah Griffin was really good from press standpoint, to where I wouldn't say, oh, I have issues with him being able to play press. I didn't have any issues with that. Now, at some point, and this is typically how I try to gauge somebody's speed, all right? I try to gauge their speed based off like just how well do you run with guys vertically. I thought, for the most part, he ran with guys well downfield. All right, now, I think some teams you saw you guys probably didn't see it, but if you didn't hear about it or see about it, the LA Rams, they're starting to come out with these like GPS trackers where they're like disregarding 40 times, and they want to go more off of like the in-game speed with the GPS trackers, or they have some type of technology that helps them, identify that. I'm some of the same with that, where I like to just go off the film and what does it look like on film. When you go off of the film with him, as far as his vertical speed, it looks like he can run, but I'm not sure he can run. All right, and what I mean by that is, for the most part, he's not going to have issues running vertically with guys. I do think he's one of those guys where if he kind of gets in position where he has to really kind of chase and catch up, you could tell that it's just not natural for him to like be that bursty guy to catch up. Now, he could very well, I think he ran in the 4.5s at his pro day. I know, I read that he was coming off of COVID and really didn't have the proper time to kind of prepare and this, that, and the other. So I could see that being a standpoint, because when I watch him on film, I do think he's more of looks like a low 4.5, high 4.4 type guy, 4.48. I think he's more so of that on film. Again, he can't run with guys, and it's not like guys just outrunning him. I think he did a terrific job being able to turn and run with guys, but there were some instances where when he did get beat, he was just beat, and he wasn't able to close that gap. And those are the things where I'm like, okay, like, does he have that extra boost? Which is fine if you don't. Now, I think ultimately a team might have to ask themselves, all right, like, he has the tackling ability. He has the ability to play press, play off. He can do those things. I think his instincts are really good. You know, is he going to be somebody that maybe might be more suited for the nickel position because he is aggressive and has that type of ability? I don't know. I think ultimately I just look at him and say, like, okay, well, he's just a versatile cornerback, and I feel like he can play outside or play inside. And I think he has that mindset to where he probably doesn't care. Like, just put me on the field and I'm going to be a dog wherever I line up. All right, so you guys know I like to finish up with a nice little pro comp. All right, and I think just watching him and kind of like who he reminded me of for the most part, just the way he plays, his swagger and all that, like the size of what it looks like on film. It's like, man, this looks like Steve Nelson. All right, Steve Nelson was a guy who was able to play, you know, outside, play nickel. He's had a really good career, whether it was playing with, I want to say the Steelers. He played with Kansas City Chiefs for a while. Like, he's been in the NFL for a while now. So he's had a terrific career. He's another guy who's not like overly big. I want to say around 5'11", 190. So I think like the size comp matches up there as well. Nelson was a 4'9" guy coming out of Oregon State. And I think, again, like just the speed, the height, the way they play, the versatility, being able to play outside, inside. Steve Nelson, again, having a nice long career in the NFL. I would say that's probably his pro comp. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Croc Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, we just went over Olaijah Griffin, the young OG cornerback out of USC. Really liked his film. Thought he was a very well-rounded cornerback. I look forward to seeing where he's taken. There were some people that thought he should go back for another year. We'll see. I thought his film was fine. That was probably as good of a film as he could put out. Maybe would have liked to see, like, you know, more interceptions or whatever, but outside of that, just like what he's able to do, I thought he put a lot of good stuff on film. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys subscribe, patreon.com/Croc Talk. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. Croc Talk TV is going down. Let's get it.